relax, open to and rest in the presence, and just hold space.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dhura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dhura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Omega Dantaya Vidmahi Vakrajandaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dhura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dhura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Om Agratandaya Mahakaya Suryakuti Samaprabha Nirvigyam Kuru Me Deva Sara Karyeshu Sarvada. Namo Namaha Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Ganganapataye Namo Namaha Ganganapataye Namo Namaha Ganganapataye Namo Namaha Ganganapataye Namo Ganganapataye Namo Namaha Suklam Bharadram Vishnu Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarvavignyopashantaye Sarvavignyopashantam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Om
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang being a Sanskrit word that means community of truth. It refers to whenever two or more people on the path of awakening come together to share their journey, their search for deeper truth. It's a very powerful thing. We might just call it spiritual community. But it's such an important part of our path. We can do some of it alone, and sometimes solitude and silence is what we need. We also need to come together in community with others who are experiencing the grace of awakening. It strengthens us exponentially when we join together our collective presence of awakening, of oneness. And so we're glad you're here. That's what Earth needs. Earth needs humanity as a species to become awakened collectively and soon, so that we shift out of a collective global culture of competition, conflict, and war into a new global civilization rooted in oneness, one of cooperation, harmony, and peace. This happens when the collective consciousness itself shifts, and that comes about one person at a time. And so we're very grateful to all of you who've consented to the journey of awakening. We know it has its ups and downs and ins and outs. It's the most exciting path you could choose in life, or that might choose you, however that worked out. But at times we need to share the challenges we're facing, the obstacles we're encountering, issues, questions where we need more light, more clarity. And that's where we open these satsangs up at the beginning to questions and answers. But we want you to know that we're sharing with you right now and throughout the satsang the Flowering Heart Blessing, which is a transmission of divine grace, awakened consciousness. It comes directly from Source. This form of blessing is not unlike many other forms of blessing that are being given on planet Earth today to help speed up humanity's journey of awakening. It's a wonderful time because there are so many direct transmissions from awakened beings, from the divine itself. And they have different qualities, even though they all share that common purpose of awakening. The Flowering Heart Blessing pretty much says what it is. It's about the flowering of the heart in oneness with the divine. If you go deep into the spiritual heart, you come to the place at the center where you are awakened already, and you are divine, because it's the divine source itself within you that is your true essence, that is your original divine self. The journey of awakening is coming to the realization of that, and that light, that consciousness of enlightenment, of God realization beginning to explode and shine out of the heart through all the layers of our being. So the Flowering Heart Blessing's primary purpose is to awaken that connection and cause it to begin to unfold and transform our whole being, spirit, soul, body, relationships, connections to the world, from the inside out. We particularly enjoy that because so many of us were looking on the outside for so long, lifetimes, years and years, going to enlightened beings, going to places of power, going through processes that promise awakening and transformation. And I'm sure we were helped by many of these wonderful awakened beings and processes, but eventually we come to the discovery the outer world's a reflection of the inner world. Whatever light you saw shining through the face of the guru, the avatar, the enlightened master, was a mirror that they were holding up to reflect to you and me our true self. The light we saw in their face was a reflection of our own true self, reflected in the mirror of their clear, awakened consciousness. At that point, we're supposed to look inside and go, oh, I'm the one I'm looking for. It's inside me. But sometimes people get stuck in things outside of themselves, places of power, spiritual organizations, spiritual teachers. And so the Flowering Heart Blessing can really help turn that around. The Divine, in showing it to Suzanne and me a number of years ago, said, be sure to let people know it comes directly from the Divine, the Flowering Heart Blessing. It does not come through, or it is not mediated by a master, an avatar, a guru, a spiritual hierarchy organization. It does not belong to any single religious or spiritual tradition. It's the Divine itself giving its grace to help anyone who wishes to become awakened and transformed. So tell the people it comes from me. Tell the people that it's a gift of grace because I love them. It's unconditional love in manifestation. So grace is free. It's not worked for, it's not earned, it's not deserved, it's gifted as a matter of pure love. So give it away, the Divine said. And tell people if they want to share this blessing, just accept it. And you are instantly, when you first receive the Flowering Heart Blessing, you're initiated and activated for that blessing to flow through you to others, because the Divine wants everybody to have it. So just invite the Divine, use me as an instrument of your grace, and then just let go and let the Divine do the rest. You can share this blessing with informed consent on the part of the receiver through the laying on of hands. You can share it at a distance through your own intentions in prayer or meditation. You don't need to ask permission. Just ask the Divine to flow through you and flood that person or the people you're holding in your intentions with the grace of awakening and transformation. And the Divine knows exactly how to get it done. So please share the Flowering Heart Blessing, starting now with us during the webcast. Whether you're watching this live or you're one of the larger group of people that watches these webcasts in the interim, in the week between tonight and next week, more people will be watching than all the people that tune in tonight. And when they tune in, it's still here and now. In the spirit, it's always here and it's always now. And we invite you to hold them in your intentions as you share the Flowering Heart Blessing throughout the webcast tonight. And if you're tuning in and it was a week or a month or a year after we recorded this, you think, well, it's already done. Well, please join in yourself. And you'll see that the grace is fully active and flowing through even a video recording of this. Then we open it to questions. And then later on we'll be doing, we're sending blessing now, but we'll be taking very strong intentions for the personal burdens you may have brought with you in your heart tonight. And we'll conclude with the open eye light meditation. So please give us a like or a love if you're on Facebook Live. Whenever you drop in, give us a thumbs up or a heart. There are some other emojis you could choose, but those are our favorites. I also like the one with the holding the heart, the face holding the heart. That's nice. But that way we can look after we're finished and see who was with us. And I check during the week, so I'm sort of watching who's tuning in the days between Monday and Monday. And it warms my heart, but it enables us to be able to send you special grace and love. And if you're watching on Vimeo, you can just post something in the chat. Hi, it's me. And we appreciate that too. So let the questions begin. Everybody has questions. Sometimes we give up asking them, which we shouldn't. Because, we treat every new day on the spiritual path as a beginner. I mean, once we start to get this, we've never just arrived and we never know it all. In fact, no matter how much we know, our knowledge is a drop in the bucket of infinity. So throughout the journey, no matter how awakened you become, there will be certain questions that arise that you might ask in prayer and meditation, the divine to give you light on. When you do it in satsang, everybody gets to benefit from your question, and the divine is moved to give us inspiration and light to share with you. Sometimes it's the way to do it rather than trying to do it alone. But I'll give you a few minutes as we do each week, and I'm going to read some quotes. I do this when people are not forthcoming with questions. But I've spoken of a website that I subscribe to, their newsletter that comes daily, which is called inspiringquotes.com. And this particular group of quotes is comforting quotes for when you're feeling sad. So it begins with an introduction. Sadness can arise unexpectedly and linger longer than we might like. Sometimes it's tied directly to an event or loss, and other times it seems to well up from deep inside, unbidden and unwelcome. We may have trouble sleeping or sleep too much. We may have no appetite or wind up emotionally eating. We can lose interest in activities that we usually enjoy. The first step in processing sadness is to acknowledge that we're feeling it. And that's okay. Experts suggest doing little things to care for yourself, like taking a short walk or listening to music you may love. Human connection can do wonders to lift our spirits, so don't be afraid to reach out to people. If you find yourself overwhelmed by sadness and struggling with depression, don't wait and don't hesitate to contact a professional. And see, I'm going to stop right there for a minute. I'm talking to people who are on the spiritual journey. And I think sometimes, at certain stages of the journey, we've gotten the impression that if we're doing this thing right, we'll be happy all the time. Because people have told us, oh, I'm in permanent bliss. Bliss isn't necessarily happiness or a peak emotion. Bliss is just being okay with whatever is happening, being at peace with it, which is good. But sadness is something that is part of everyone's human experience. And if there's that little, it's a voice of the mind that comes in and says, if you are really spiritual, if you are really detached, if you are really like in oneness with all that is, you would not be sad. So sometimes we felt like failures because our joy, our spiritual joy gave way, as the beginning of this little essay said, it came from we don't know where. Deep inside, it just comes up unbidden and unwelcome. And the first thing we need to do is acknowledge we're feeling it, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay to repress it, to run away from it, or to try to cover it up, like through drugs, alcohol, binge eating, distraction. There's so many ways to try to drown our sorrows and be happy all the time, but it's not the solution, because the sadness lingers there under the surface waiting to be experienced until we stop resisting it. Okay, let me continue. The most important thing to remember about experiencing sadness is that you are not alone. Sadness is so common, in fact, that it's one of the 7 universal emotions that everyone in every culture experiences. Now, I was surprised at this list of 7. I didn't particularly like it. But here are the 7 universal emotions that everyone in every culture experiences, along with surprise, enjoyment, fear, disgust, contempt, and anger. Wow. Of course, it's Ubiquity does not make it any less unpleasant. Collected here are 12 of our favorite quotes on sadness to remind you that we all feel down sometimes, and this too shall pass. Okay, so here we go. You cannot protect yourself from sadness without protecting yourself from happiness. Consider that. Jonathan Safran Foer. We're taught to be ashamed of confusion, anger, fear, and sadness. And to me, they're of equal value to happiness, excitement, and inspiration. Alanis Morissette. The word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Carl Jung. Tears are words that need to be written. Paulo Coelho, novelist. When you're happy, you enjoy the music. But when you're sad, you understand the lyrics. Frank Ocean. Experiencing sadness and anger can make you feel more creative. And by being creative, you can get beyond your pain or negativity. Yoko Ono. I have an artist side to myself. And some of my professional, good artist friends said, why don't you create more art? And I said, because often in my life, that wellstream of creativity came out of sadness, melancholy, anger. And so, I'm hunting in other fields. Okay. Your sadness is a gift. Don't reject it. Don't rush it. Live it fully and use it as fuel to change and grow. Maxime Lagacé, Canadian hockey player. I'm sure I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Some days are just bad days, that's all. You have to experience sadness to know happiness, and I remind myself that not every day is going to be a good day. That's just the way it is. Dita Von Teese, actor. The good life is not one immune to sadness, but one which suffering contributes to our development. Elaine de Botton, philosopher and writer. Boredom, anger, sadness, or fear are not yours, not personal. They are conditions of the human mind. They come and go. Nothing that comes and goes is you. Eckhart Tolle. What brings us to tears will lead us to grace. Our pain is never wasted. Bob Goff, author. I think it takes some maturing to get to that one. But it does turn out, if you look at it, that those things that have broken us with sadness and brought us to tears have ultimately led us to the grace that has sustained us. And as we come to awaken and realize that everything is a manifestation of the presence, the divine loves us so much that none of these so-called negative feelings or emotions is wasted. The divine uses it all to help us grow. That doesn't mean the divine wants us to feel sad. No, what parent wants their child to ever be sad? But there are some times where the child is going to grow by feeling sad for various reasons. So, hope that gives you a little food to chew. Well, would you like to add anything, Ann?
It just made me think about the creative side of it was when I was in high school and college. I whenever I would get sad, that's the time I would stop and write poems. It just dawned on me I haven't written a poem in a lot of years. I guess that's a good sign.
We're keeping you happy, dear.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the quotes that we read said that tears are words that need to be written.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of that paper that I wrote after my father passed. I was taking a class in college on rhetoric, and he had us do an assignment. He had us read this book called Writing Down the Bones, and I still kept it because it's such a good book. It's still in my library. But it teaches you how to write authentically and express yourself authentically through your words. And I wrote a paper, and I was going to write, my father had passed away about a year and a half before, and I was still really, really grieved by it. And so I started writing, and I came up with, it was supposed to be a 10-page paper that you would turn in, he would make corrections, and then you would rewrite it. But as I was sitting there writing, I had a box of tissue, and I just cried and cried and cried and wrote and wrote and wrote. And when I turned it into him, he said, "Keep going. This is great. Keep going." And so it ended up being a 40-page paper. And I don't know how many boxes of Kleenex I went through, but it was like this cathartic, it started the first 10 pages when I first found out that he had passed. And then the next 10 pages were the, funeral and things going on. And then the last part was, I don't remember the other part. And then the very last 10 pages was all of these memories that I had of spending time with my father. So I kind of worked through the grieving process by writing this paper. And it was very, very, so much grace, like you said, so much grace and so much clearing and so much peace that came after that whole process. It was challenging, but it was really good.
But no emotion is bad.
Right.
Anger's a rough one. I've had people just get into arguments with me during satsangs in years past over anger, because anger's always bad. Anger is the energy to confront injustice. Properly managed, it's a great tool. But it says in Scripture that Christ was tempted in every way that we are, but without sinning. So temptation means to feel an attraction to do something inappropriate. Here's a loaded one, lust. The same word, Greek word that's translated lust in the potentially damaging way is the same word Christ used on the night before his crucifixion in the upper room, the Passover celebration. He said, "Long have I lusted to share this meal with you." So it just means strong desire. And if you really get into detachment and the ego being dead and all of that, desire is something that scares people. But no emotion, well, okay, there's lust of the physical sense. Is that a human temptation? Has that started wars and destroyed lives and broken up homes? Sure. Lust can be a problem. Thing is, Christ experienced that. You couldn't say he experienced every temptation that any human could experience if he didn't experience that. We know he experienced anger, he acted it out. But the point is, these so-called negative emotions are not to be rejected or shunned. They're to be experienced. Allow them to unfold, not to possess you and act out through. See, I think that people act out in anger frequently because they're resisting it. I think people are overcome by destructive lusts because they're wrestling with their desires. If instead of resistance, people could just experience it coming up and unfolding without resistance, without reacting, without holding on to it, without going with it. Just let it go through you, and then you're free. Michael Christopher asks a great question. Why does the divine love us without doing anything to deserve it? You want to tackle that one?
Because that's just the nature of love. I mean, the nature of love is unconditional, and
we love a being not because they deserve it. There's just something about them that delights us. And we just spontaneously love that being. You've heard, oh, they have a face only a mother could love. I mean, do parents love their children because they've done something to deserve it? I don't think so. Maybe in the first year. The terrible twos, not so much. But parents don't stop loving their kids. It's just the nature of the divine to love. It is the divine's nature. In Christian mystical theology about the Trinity, it talks about how in the beginning was one, the one. I mean, the Tao Te Ching says the one begot the two begot the three is the mother of the myriad things. Very similar. So here's this one, which in Christian theology they call the Father. But the nature of the Father is love. God doesn't just love or have love. God is love. It is the nature of that divine source to love. And so that had to give rise to a second. The one begot the two, so that the one could give itself fully to number two. And number two would give itself fully back to number one. And their very love for each other, the one and the two, or in Christian theology, the Father and the Son. But that love is so total that their very love becomes number three. And then the flower of life is just beginning to multiply through the universe, as the universe. But yeah, we don't get it, because human love tends to be rooted in, there's something about that person that makes me feel good. I said we delight in them. But all too often our love is rooted in, wow, you really turned me on, or it's exciting having a conversation with you. You just spark me. There's just something, and it isn't always romantic. It can be brotherly love. It can be friends. But human love, which is usually tied to the Greek word phileo, like Philadelphia, the brother of city of brotherly love, that kind of love sours so easily if the person that we were feeling delight with somehow disgusts us, does something that turns us off. Well, now you're not making me feel good. So then two people that love each other can begin speaking harsh words, and that can lead to contempt, and that would destroy a relationship. So human love is very different because it is conditional, usually. And the love that the divine is calling us to, it's another Greek word, agape, which is completely selfless, self-giving, completely self-giving, even to the point of self-sacrifice. Abraham Lincoln called it the greatest measure of devotion, giving your life for your friend. Christ said, no greater love has any human than this, that a person would lay down their life for their friends. That is a quality that humans have. But all too often, we're operating in this other thing of, I love you because you're cool and you make me feel good. But if you ever cross me, make me feel bad. Maybe we won't be friends anymore. Well, God cannot be like that. God is, the divine source is, on one level, unchanging. In its essence, it's unchanging, even though it's constantly exploring creation and change and manifestations. But in its essence, it is pure, unconditional love, can't help itself. So, that's why God does it. The divine loves us because it can't help itself. Oh, and thank you, Michael. He said, P.S. You pronounced Vikasa's name correctly. Well, that was a fluke. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Uzoamaka. No comment, but a nice namaste and hello. Hello back to you. Anything else we forgot to mention?
No.
Well, okay then.
Okay.
I think it's time to dive in deeper. I like that question about deserving love. That was a good one.
I think that we all deserve love. You know, it's not a matter of deserving, it's a matter of deeper and deeper layers of realizing that we deserve it. Because it's that undeserving that blocks us from being able to feel fully. We have a friend that is constantly saying, oh, I don't deserve this, I don't deserve this. And it's like, no, actually you do. Just enjoy it. And
how are you today?
Yeah.
Oh, much better than I deserve.
right.
Yeah.
So it's nice when we can get to the point where we're nurtured and nurturing enough to ourselves that we can deserve love.
The divine deserves us accepting love.
Yeah.
The divine's gone through a lot. Oh, so much patience putting up with us for us to learn that we're worthy to be blessed and that we're loved. And so if really, I mean, the divine deserves it, even if you think you don't. Your divine parents deserve you opening up and letting them love you and nurture you. Just saying.
Just saying.
So if you would close your eyes and open your hearts and just invoke the presence that dwells within you, above you, beyond you, all around you. The presence is everywhere. Just open up and allow yourself to be loved by the divine. This divine presence loves you unconditionally, which truly is a mind-blowing realization to humans. The divine wants you to have that realization, to accept, to allow Source to love you, to comfort you, to strengthen you, to heal you, spirit, soul, and body, to awaken you to your true nature, which is enlightenment itself, which is the divine presence. The illusion that there's any distance between you and the light is just that. It's a veil of illusion in the mind. And a big part of awakening is for that veil to be dissolved. The illusion of separation between you and others you love, between you and nature, between you and the divine itself. Allow that illusion to be dissolved. You can't do it for yourself, but the divine presence will melt that veil and flood you with light and life just allow and receive. Release the burden, the worry, the weight, the pain. Release it. And let it flow right out of you into the heart of the divine. Visualize us sitting in a circle together with our eyes closed. Lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward. And let us invite the divine to pour the flowering heart blessing through us to all the others sitting in the circle with us. Now you could just relax your hands in your lap somewhere, and gently, when you're ready, open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. Just keep looking at least one of our eyes constantly as we begin the light meditation. Suzanne and I are filled with oceans of grace and love and light. and it flows through every pore of our being to you, especially through our eyes, which mystics have called the doorways of the soul. The light streams through our eyes, into your heart of hearts, causing the light of awakening and the divine love of transformation to burn ever brighter. Nothing to do but receive and let it be. Close your eyes now. Meditate with us for a few more minutes as the grace you've received settles within you. Now keep meditating as long as it feels nice to you. Also, you could lie down nearby in Shavasana. That's to lie on your back with your eyes closed, your arms loosely at your sides, with your palms open, turned upward, and just let yourself dissolve in gratitude in the presence. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we see one another again, know that the divine in us beholds the divine in you, and we bow to you.